I don't care about the crow. Get out of here. Does that bother you? Does it bother you, crow? I don't care. I don't care about the crows. Oh, ah, I don't care about the crows. I can't yell at them because people will call the police on me, but the crows can yell at me all they want. And I feel them trying to hurt me. Stop trying to hurt me, crows. They've been following me since I woke up. You know why? 'Cause I've been going inside, I'm still inside. Living in the memories, pretending I did everything right. Let's find out which capo makes him the most mad. I don't know how to describe it other than I have aura, and when I try to just be okay, when I'm not in pain, suffering, feeling like there's a demonic force raping me, they don't like that. And before the crows show up, I will start to see spirits around. And I'll feel them trying to attack my confidence and tear me down to open me up to be raped by a demon again. But if you notice, there's the little birds that make the beep 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 beep, and they come to help. It's first fret. I mean, they really. I'm tired. It's been 2 years now of trying to explain what happened. Okay, I see what they're doing. They're drawing me out to the really negative guy that works next door, and he showed up. So the really negative man next door that told me last year that he's gonna get me trespassed from everywhere in town, and I'm gonna starve. And he did trespass me from the college, even though I had a deal with the college that I could be there. But he made up something so the college would suddenly be mad at me. So they trespassed me, and then the police stole my car, and then we had a severe tornado warning. So I don't know if you guys noticed, the one of you here, but if a tornado were to rip through this place, I would be fucking dead. I would fly above these mountains, and all there is trees and trucks. So I went to over the hill into the valley where it's safe, into a field where there's no trees, and then as soon as the storm was over and the tornado warning left our phone, suddenly security was there to have me arrested. I'm like, I have to think that it's because they're fat and their dick don't work. But yeah, spiritual warfare. They're territorial. What's up, man? Or person? I mean, in my personal life, since I have quit cigarettes, I've changed my diet. So I have bread, eggs, and chicken in the cabin now, and I got an electric plug-in stove. So if I want, I can just find an outlet. I have Tupperware now, so I can cook up a bunch of sandwiches and take them back to the cabin. The leaves are pretty much falling off. I really wanted to leave and take a trip just to like maybe, it's like from Montpelier, Waterbury, and then I get off at Stowe and I walk through Smuggler's Notch. That's like about 40 miles total. Which seemed a lot more epic last year when it was new to me and I'd never been there and I'd never experienced what it was like to live here. But now that I understand a lot more about the people, it's not as exciting to walk through their towns anymore unless I'm going to war to record them and make videos about them and then having it blow up on social media, exposing them and drawing in a bunch of MAGA white people into talk shit about me not having a job. But I have dreams where I'm on that mountain in Stowe in Mount Mansfield, and there's like my daily life pretty much, the reason that the crows are mad is that there's a lot of negativity coming towards me. Like when I sit in meditation, I can see angry spirits, lots of them. And they're always trying to get in, and when they get in, they're like pumping their negativity into me, and then I can feel myself, and they sort of try to disassociate that to like a handler, to like somebody that had dominated me and traumatized me. So they try to sort of make me feel like I don't have the ability to have power or gravity, like I can't be centered. And then they try to delegate that, like sort of give it to somebody else who's trying to hold it over me. And then I'll look back at my videos now that I realize that that's what was happening, and I'll see that person instead of me. Like I'm watching my videos and it's coming out of my voice, but the tone is different. The energy's all different. The vernacular isn't me at all. And it makes more sense why my whole life that person was so like emotionally abusive, and like every time they spoke it was like they were trying to hit into me. I've been watching tarot videos, and the tarot videos are describing the plot of a movie that I'm guided to watch later that night. Like I had a tarot video that was talking about how someone I loved had accidentally been convinced by a dark spirit to do something, thinking it would give them good emotions or power or would be helping them, but it tricked them, and now the thing lives in their body and controls them and their self, just like I'm talking about how something's trying to take me from myself. That person, which is also the person I felt was they were trying to delegate it to, the tarot reader was telling me that person is gone and they're not coming back in this lifetime. And any attempt that they would make to get in contact with me, it was kind of validating what I had been talking about for years, which is that every time I get in contact with these people that I used to love, it's not them, it's the thing that's controlling them, trying to get back at me because I have the better sauce or the better body, the better life, that it would be more valuable for them to invade. So they're like posted up. Imagine like I used to have a big kingdom, but now my kingdom's all been conformed and I'm hiding in the castle. And they're ripping at the rocks, clawing at the rocks, trying to get in. And every time they like show up, it'd be like, "We changed, we love you," and they're like holding gifts. It's just to get that drawbridge open. That's really what my life feels like. It feels like I'm hiding in a castle, and even though I'm traveling, everything is just really trying to get in. And it just happens to be cops, cunts, creeps, crows, and occasionally crackheads. Usually the homeless people would see me as a resource and they would try to like not really idolize me, but they wouldn't tear me down as much. They were more like they used to I would walk into like a homeless camp and they'd all get invigorated, and one of them said, "You got me firing on all cylinders. Oh my god." And they would really appreciate the energy I had. They weren't ever trying to destroy it or take it until you got one of them alone. Any one of those homeless people, if you got them individually, they would try to rape me. Like invite me into their yurt that they built right on the mountainside of Burlington, right on the cliffside overlooking the waterfront. And they invited me in to hang out, and then they always try to blow smoke in your face. And then last time it happened, one of them tried to suck my dick, and I left. Another guy was like, he was a Leo, and he called his place Wolf Hollow, and he called himself Hollow Wolf, even though he's a Leo. And I felt like as soon as I got into that campsite area in his little den, and he had a couch and he had a guest house and it was nice in there. But I mean, he had like he had obvious witchcraft stuff. He had like this ring finger that was completely metal that went to like this talon point. And he had a tarot deck, and he had all sorts of drugs in there, and he was taught like I would see one time he, like the same way I talk about activating, he would activate and then skunks would come out, squirrels would come out, and they would all sit around him while he read somebody's tarot. And he was talking about how he was recycling them completely, taking in the spiritual wealth. And the tarot deck was just a ruse to get them to open up, because they think that God is going to help them and the universe is guiding them somewhere. But really it was just setting them up to be vulnerable and open, and then he would and then rip it from Hollow Wolf would suck it all in. And He did it to me, and then it didn't work. Like I was able, like, it felt like sometimes like people try spiritually, and then I just, when I get activated, I tell you, I turn into that eagle man where I have like the point of like immense focus and confidence, and it's all black, this darkness shadow, and I can just say no, or no, and it doesn't work. And then he pounced on me. He like this. He's like 60. Got up and then dove at me and started choking me out. I left. I walked out. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because I'm not gonna hurt the guy. Coincidentally, it's Cat. His name's Cat, and then the other guy's name was Brian, and he had a little dog. So it was Cat, Brian, and I in that yurt at like 10 o'clock at night. And then I left, and then he was on a cliffside. And then he came out and spit in my face, and he was trying to get me to attack him. But I knew at one point in his life that guy was a black belt, and he did have before drugs, he had a program in Boston where he trained people. So I think he was just looking for an excuse. So I didn't give him one. He tried to push me off the cliff. I just moved him. And then I grabbed my bike and I walked up the hill off the cliffside. And he was like, he started talking shit about my dad. Like, I never told him anything about my dad, but he was like, that's why you're just kind of trying to rub it in my face, something like my dad's not a great man. And I was like, yeah, keep jerking off in your tent. And he went, because I hit him. And then I left. And then he tried to kill me a week later. And then I bought a couple of peace teas from the store. And the next time I saw him, I tried to offer him one. But then he tried to dominate me again, and I said, no. So then he got mad and chucked the peace tea, ran away, and then came back with a mile marker and went, bow, 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 bow. So I picked one up, and I was like, bow, 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 bow. Because I thought that was funny. And then, as he left, I was like, you really fucked up, bro. I'm a good friend to have. And then I felt the light of God show him my ancient king status and anointing, and I felt him feel that ancient 1133 energy, and he like froze in place. And then after that, he completely mentally degraded, like spirit had really fucked him up for what he did to me. The next time I saw him, he was not conscious at all. He was running around on all fours, roaring, saying he was a lion, because he's born August 5th, but he was running around like a lion and roaring at the park. And then he tried to fight 12-year-olds. He tried to fight the parks ranger. He tried to fight the cops. And everyone just kind of left him, like they didn't put him in jail or anything. But even though he was like completely dysfunctional like that, he could pick up a frisbee and toss it across the field, like probably, like half the size of a football field, and he would bean the park ranger in the head. And people said that he would get like dads walking with their 5-year-old kids, and he would hit the dads. And when the dads would try to fight him, he would stand up, and Cat was like 6'5". Even though eventually he tried to pull his shit at the bus station, and everyone flocked and beat the fuck out of him at the bus station. Just like 4 months before, when I was at the King Street shelter, and I had it was Ethan, Robert, Phoenix, Jaden, Noah, Cade, Aaron, River, and Shauna. Which is funny because I told you in the last video about Dan meaning River and Aaron. The two staff were Dan and Aaron again. Just like in 2014, we had Dan and Aaron, and then Dan and Aaron from Game Grumps. And then Jaden, Phoenix, Ethan, Robert, Cade, they're all Noah, Vinny, they're all the same names. And we did have a Leo there too. But then Ethan betrayed me and started going crazy, and I felt him leech my life force energy out, and he went and he started going crazy, and he fucking took off running with it, thinking he could get back to the King Street shelter, play some power game, and now he'd permanently hold that energy over me. and would dominate me and control my manifestations and get the girls. Because that's why he said he wanted to be around me, because I had something that drew all the girls' attention towards me, and he wanted it for himself. So when Ethan got back, what he was met with was a schizophrenic man in a Native American poncho that had like a he said he was from Lithuania, but he said his name was Christian. And when Ethan got down there, he saw a guy in a Native American poncho with the staff, and he went, "I am Jesus Christ." So Ethan he freaked out for 3 hours and tried to disprove that schizophrenic man wasn't actually Jesus. So when I got there, I saw them both. Me and Phoenix and Jaden got back, and Ethan and Christian were sitting there. Joel had just gotten there, who's like a little Mexican Gemini. He's pretty cool. And I just sat down with him, and I was like, "Hey, man, it's really good to see you have a like-minded individual to speak with." Because I was taking Ethan to the gym and I took a nice picture of him for his profile picture. I helped him set up a Tinder profile, just to like help people the way I never got helped. Like, I would love for someone to show up and take a really nice picture of me for my profile that like makes people like what they see when they see me, instead of seeing like a homeless guy. But Ethan and Phoenix recorded my music videos and stuff. But Christian had it in his head that he was gonna dethrone me. That's what he said. He said he was a Viking that killed me 1,000 years ago, and he was gonna take away my throne in this life. So every time I spoke, he would just follow me around going, "Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck." Every time I tried to speak or think or do anything. Here's a giant crow right here. Left to right. You can't. Shut up. Shut the fuck up. So I just said, like, "You think you're Jesus?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "What's my middle name?" And he couldn't. I was like, "Of course, you're not even close to spiritual, bro. Because at the very least, I thought it, and you would have at least been able to get it from Skynet. The same way I know you're a Aquarius." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." But Christian kept telling me to shut the fuck up. Eventually, I was like, "Say it again. Say it again." And he went, "Shut the..." And I got up and I put my fist on his Adam's apple and just pushed it in. Because I knew he's schizo. He's not going to know how to fight back. He's going to get overwhelmed. He's an Aquarius, so that Sagittarius force with the Aquarius protection in the Capricorn 10th house, and I'm hitting him in Scorpio, whatever, he's not going to understand, because I had never shown that I knew how to keep it hidden back then. I was disciplined and traumatized, and it was cold. And I had just lived with like gang members for 6 months. So I was pretty good. So when I finally like let loose and he felt it, he went and I didn't get arrested, but I got kicked out, which sucks because they trespassed me from every program in town, and it was like -5 degrees out. They left me to die. And I told them, like, he's gonna learn, whether or not I teach him, he's gonna learn respect by the end of this journey, and you guys are gonna feel bad. And then Shauna was talking shit about like how I'm dysfunctional, and I brought up like, don't you think, because she was fucking morbidly obese and she smelled bad, and she was telling me about how I'm dysfunctional and I make bad decisions, and I was like, don't you think a good decision would be to stick to your diet? And she went, and I went, because that was probably the first time in a very liberal city where that woman had anyone really challenge her on anything. And I was like, you're not gonna, one, you lied to the cops. Two, you went around looking for witnesses that didn't witness anything to gain more reason to lie to the police. You were trying to have me arrested for something you didn't witness and there's no proof of. You went out of your way to hurt me for what? Of course I'm not going to be friendly. I'm not going to keep up this delusion of friendliness. So Shauna, River, and Aaron got together and kicked me out, and the cops who beat homeless people for fun all day, they were like, yeah, we would have done the same thing, but We wouldn't have done it where there was cameras, you know? So they didn't arrest me. And that's how I met Kat. But eventually, someone named Ari, like Ari Aster, or my cousin Ari, or Xiaoma Ari, and he's in New York, and he's the language guy. And then who's that producer that's now walking around New York City with his studio? Ari at home. A guy named Ari. Christian was walking around going to all the programs, the food bank, and he was saying, "You guys are all a bunch of pedophile Nazis. You will repent in the name of the Lord." And he'd slam his stick on the ground. Eventually, Ari and a group of everyone at the bus station put him in the hospital. He had black eyes. His whole face was like black and blue, broken fingers, tooth missing. They just beat him like to death basically, and then he survived. The next time I saw Christian, other than one time in the library, he was trying to be a leader, I saw, and I came in, and everybody was up there on the third floor of the library. It was Ethan, because I had taken Ethan in as like my vampire's thrall, basically. And Ethan was like at my side like a sick dog, and I was trying to teach him how to function with his like very super Christian beliefs and probably schizophrenia. But the problem is he was a Capricorn, man. He kept fighting for power in any way he could take it. He would fight to like... But the cool thing I liked about Ethan is that when our gang stalkers or the angels or whatever, they would show up, because they would, especially in Burlington, whether they're government employees or undercover police thinking we're homeless and running drugs, and they were just trying to gain intel on us, whenever those guys who were obvious to us that they were not normal people, when they would show up and pretend to be browsing the library and they would do the hand signs, I liked Ethan because he's the only person in my life I'd ever met that walked up to them and said, "I know what you're doing." And they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I know what the fuck you're doing." But he would be mad and serious about it. And they'd look over at me, and I would be like, I would be like this giant dark bird, adorned in gold, perched on my chair, and then I'd make one move, and I felt like, because that was the year of the water cat. It was the water element, so everything was so much more vivid. It wasn't fighting for resources like the crows and me now in the trees in the forest. It was everything was much more vivid and like we were in water. So everyone could literally just see that we're spiritually attuned. I would go to take a step, and it'd be like 6 other different spirits would be with me, setting that anointing and pushing things back and changing the whole tone and the colors of the waters. And it was really cool. So they would look at me, and then I'd feel them, and when I would do that, they would immediately go really dark, and they would like, yeah. And I liked having Ethan there because he wasn't affected by it. Whether he was like a super narcissist that fell into schizophrenic delusion, or he was a Capricorn, it didn't bother him at all. He would cackle and he would take the power for himself a lot, and I didn't like that. Eventually that caused him to go insane, and I had to cut him off, and when I cut people off, they go insane. When they come into my life, they ascend to something much greater than their soul had ever experienced, and then when they betray me, I cut them off and they get judgment. So Ethan, after I left Ethan to die, basically, he got consumed, went crazy, and he went like on, I think, pretty much everyone that leaves my presence falls into a crack addiction. I don't know why. Maybe that's the devil saying, "I'm going to permanently destroy their mind forever, and it's your fault because you left them," or what. But every energy vampire that ever entered my life, as soon as I cut them off, they turned to crack. And they did not do any drugs prior. So I don't know I don't have access to what's going on in their lives outside of mine, other than occasionally I'm able to check in spiritually when the crows aren't trying to keep me trapped. And I can grow out into their garden, basically, and check in on everyone that in their relationships. which can be overwhelming and will drive anyone insane. Yeah. But I remember once I felt like I had attuned to God again because I was always fighting every day 150% to get back to my connect to as the most freedom, and I would sort of shed everything off, and maybe it's called anoint yourself, be anointed, be in God, I don't know. But Sundance, I would connect to the highest vibration, and when I did, reality would just completely change. Like I just tried it again, and now there's that loud noise down there. Or I do a little bit. I try to zoom forward and like focus and start to think about the future, and the crows go insane, and they don't stop until that part of me gets destroyed. But occasionally I would, especially back in 2023, I would do that, and then the whole place would clear out except for the people I felt were the gang stalkers. Like I would just anoint. It would be like super paranoid schizophrenia until I could figure it out. I just felt the crow caw, and I felt the same pain in my throat I've been talking about, where they try to stop my ascension and they try to stop my harmony between heart and brain, so they cut me off at the throat. They try to stop it. Hold on. Yeah, so I raised and I connected back, and then everyone in the library on all floors just collectively got up and left. I don't care if you don't believe it. Everybody at once got up and left, except for the people I felt were the gang stalkers. Or ancestors or something, just something dark that was greater than the regular typical souls around. And then Ethan showed up again, suddenly. And I'd been like looking for Ethan all day. I was like, where did this guy go? I hope he's good. Like, I take care of people. So he showed up smiling. And he sat down and he's like, I really want to tell you who I am, but I don't think they're going to allow me to say it. I really want to, though. And I'd be like, just say it, man. Who cares? And he's like, I really, like, trust me, I can't tell you. But one day I hope I can. And then he got up and left. And then, like 2 or 3 months later was the next time I really saw Ethan, which was after Phoenix got lured into a trap house by a guy named Danger, who was a Leo, but his real name was Joe. Danger, who was like this 40-year-old guy who was in this abandoned school that was like 6 stories high, completely abandoned next to the library, and he was going in and he had an operation where him and a bunch of other meth addicts were in there stripping copper off and selling it for meth, and they were living in one of the rooms. And it would be so cool if they weren't such bad people. Like I just didn't have access to protection. I couldn't have a gun. If I could have a gun and like a Cane Corso, then I would think about like recruiting other nice runaway kids and then taking over a floor of an abandoned school, putting solar panels on the roof and taking it down with a like long wire into portable power stations, then dismantling tables and stuff and really revamping the inside of the room, putting like eventually saving up and getting a steel bolt lock that nobody can get into, and then going in there and like making that my home, while all of us then, because we were safe and we were grounded and we had a safe place that nobody could touch, then I would start to send them to work every day. Like, go to Chipotle, get the job, get the tip money, just bring 20% back, and it's not going to me, it's going to us getting this. And then when we're there, then you're going to stay with me and I'm going to be motivating for you, and without me I know you're not going to function very well. So just believe in the fact that I'm able to manage and set goals for us that will lead you to a better life, and there's no obligation to stay. I just hope that you show me loyalty and respect and you're honest with me about everything you do. Don't do any hard drugs. Like, if you want to smoke weed, but I'll feel it if you try to do anything with relationships, and you'll be out. Connect to God and leave us alone. But I wasn't allowed to have a gun. The courts say I can't have one. and they really, I'm in court. The only court charges is my mom filed a restraining order. She lied. She held it over my head. She would laugh about it. She would lie to everyone she could, making up this story about how she's a victim, trying to get money from grandpa for it. And then she would break that every day. She would message me, or she would have my aunt message me. And then if I responded, whenever she felt like it, she would take me responding to her to the police and have me arrested. And I've been in jail probably 40 days total for that. Because the cops would wait, because they're prejudiced and pieces of shit. They would wait until a Friday. Then they would strike to get me there on the weekend. So I'd be there the whole weekend. Just for like, even if I just said, my mom's like, I love you. And then if I said, I love you, I would go to jail for 4 days. And I would be beaten by the police, subjected to sexual abuse and horrible stuff that she doesn't give a fuck about. She bought a portable power station for herself that sits in her closet, knowing that most of my suffering came from not having one and having to go charge my devices in public where I was tortured. So, God ain't happy with her at all. He really not. And my tarot readers aren't happy with her at all. Oh, but the next time I saw Ethan was in that school. Phoenix got lured upstairs. He started smoking meth. He was like, I was sitting in the doorway outside so the smoke didn't go in my face. And they were like, you can have some if you want. I'm like, I'm not here for you guys. I'm just here to make sure he's safe. It's ultimately his decision what he does. And then he started smoking meth, and then I felt this big shimmering, and I looked over, and in the darkness, there was this dense demonic force. But then in front of it, a giant, sort of like Doctor Strange portal, but made out of fire. Whoosh! And then I saw the image of a woman's face crying. So I took it as, get out of there. So I was like, if Phoenix wants to stay here, he wants to stay there. Fuck it. So I left. Went to the gas station, and then by the time I got back, he said he was coming down to meet me, and he never did. Then, like a day later, I guess they pumped him full of drugs and they raped him. And the story is they tossed him out of a window. And then coincidentally, Ethan was just right there and found him. So they told me that Irish people who had like the pointy ears and the long noses, and the big full dark beards with the green eyes, they said 2 of them showed up, and there was a wheelchair in the school. So they grabbed the wheelchair, and the 2 tall giants and Ethan wheeled him up to the hospital. And then as soon as I found out, I rode my bike up there. And I had like bad blisters on I had like almost gangrene on my feet. It was just like throbbing pain in my boots all day. But I waddled up, there was like 2 miles up a giant hill to the hospital. And then when I got there, security left and everybody left. And it was just me waiting to see Phoenix. And then Ethan walked in and he said, we're gladiators. There's a coliseum of angels above us. And we're gladiators. And then he pulls out this playing card, and on the back of it was a polar bear. And he gave it to me, and it's in my wallet still. Phoenix was dating this woman named Nova, and when I got in to see Phoenix, it felt like I was the only one that wasn't trapped by demonic forces. Everybody else was dark, aggressive, and angry, and trapped in their ego. They weren't themselves. Something else was controlling them. And I was just trying to embody this light, Dingfire, Rooster, Daymaster, trying to embody this light, 1133, Sagittarius, in Scorpio, in the darkness. I'm trying to help these people in the darkest parts of the earth see the light. And then as soon as Phoenix is about to like realize, and I could see slowly like his spirit was starting to be inspired and come to life like a phoenix. He was starting to rise again. Nova called him, and I was like, "Watch, this is a demon. I'm gonna show you. This is the devil. Look." And I was like, "Look, feel this energy. See me? Do you see the light? Look at her." And she had like her whole face was red. She was in darkness. She was smiling, and she was just like, it was so obvious she was full of shit. Like, to anyone with common sense could see that she was like either, like, if you don't want to be spiritual, you could say she was pretending to be a demon. And she just kept trying. She didn't even want to hang out with him. She revealed to him that she was seeing somebody else. She was at some other guy's house. But Phoenix couldn't see it because he loved her. He couldn't see it. So eventually he got Nova to show up. Her name's Nova. Nova in Phoenix, like supernova. And Nova showed up, and then Nova wanted everybody but her out. So she tried to kick us all out. So it's like one last fuck you. Phoenix worked 2 jobs. He was making $1,500 a week. He had this nice vape. So I was like, you guys aren't going to be this piece of shit to me. You guys don't know how much of a blessing I was. So what I did was, I could see that Nova was boycotting her Phoenix's vape in her pocket. And I could see intuitively that she was trying to protect it. Like, that was her, like, way of stealing power from the room. So I said, "Hey, Phoenix, can I get a hit off your loon?" And he was like, "Sure, man." So he was like, "Where's my loon?" And then I felt Nova feel fear because she's got it, and I could tell that she was coveting it. So he was like, "Do you have the loon?" And then she was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Let him have a hit." So Phoenix fell out of a building. He can't move. So as soon as Nova hands me the loon, I was like, "Thanks." Patriarchy. That was the vibe. And then I just took the loon. I saw Phoenix realize that I took the loon. I saw Phoenix realize that I was not his friend. I saw Phoenix realize that it was his fault because he was not my friend. And then I left with his $100 vape. And I didn't see him for months after. And now I guess he said a demon possessed him and tried to make him gay. So he moved to Florida with his uncle, and they were fishing. And then Phoenix was sending pictures of his fucking bare ass to Jaden. And Jaden was like, "What the fuck?" So, but when a demon possesses somebody and they steal your energy, they have to come back and rub it in. They have to let you know what they're doing. So there was like, when I was 17, the way I used to go through life, the funny pictures of myself I would send people on Snapchat that I felt like was taken from me by the devil through trauma and spiritual warfare. He sent me the same exact picture of him with the same exact pose, with the same exact message that I used to send people, and he was wearing the same shirt that was my favorite shirt when I was 17. He mysteriously found the same shirt. And he had cut his hair the same way that I used to cut my hair. So I blocked him, and now he keeps trying to come back into my life, and his profile pictures are getting more and more. Like, it went from him being smiling and happy, looking like me, to him being in a red room, dark and sad, to him being in a black room, and barely a silhouette is visible, and now it's like he's like just on drugs and he lost it, which is what happens to people that fuck with me. I mean, the name Jaden goes all the way back to when I was born. I've had Jadens and Jadas in my life since I was born. So Jaden isn't just the guy Chloe cheated on me with. Jada and Jaden is also like the guy at the youth shelter, and then before that it was the girl I had a crush on, and before that it was I mean, you could say Jay-Z and Kanye, J and K, like that J prefix. Um, but now that I know about that Blue Jays are in the Crow family, it makes a lot more sense. Because the things I was trying to help the Jays with, and the things I didn't like about the Jays, were the same things I don't like about the Crows: the territorial darkness and control, and trying to harvest life force energy and hold it over you and then control you remotely. But even in the first house that I lived in with my family, that triplex, we had a Brian Moore, and we had Jada Moore and his wife Danielle, and his son Brian, and then we had my sister Danielle, Casey and Gary O'Brien. So it's just one of those big important names. So Jaden was there. Oh, and the last time I saw Christian, he was on meth, and he was sitting just on the sidewalk on my way to my tent. And I saw him with like an obvious 40-year-old meth addict, and he was just sitting there out of his mind. And I walked up and anointed myself so we could see the light again, and then I set my Sagittarius Firebird Golden Eagle aflame, and he went, whoa. And I was like, when you get to the library, man, Google Brian Boru. Because he said he was a Viking that killed me 1,000 years ago. So I was like, you should when you get to the library, Google Brian Boru. And I gave them all, I had a pack of donuts someone had given me. So I gave everyone a donut. Like nice gourmet donuts too. I forgot how I got those. It wasn't at a food bank or anything. I think I just found a pack of donuts around from like rich people that left them. Like nice expensive gourmet donuts. And that was the last time I saw Christian. I gave him a donut. I forgave him. I showed him the light again. I told him to look up Brian Boru, and then he walked into the bus station with the pit of drug addicts, and I walked to my tent on Lake Champlain with the nice view, my bear den. And that's the last I saw of Christian in my 2023 Sundance story, The Year of the Cat and the Rabbit. Then I moved right into like every day I would make music at night at the waterfront, and I would freestyle and everyone would hear me, and I'd run into famous people and rappers and inspire them, and then they would release their best work, and they've never released anything close to what they released the day after meeting me since. It was really cool. It was really cool the way that my character was introduced to their characters. And obviously, like high-level creatives that are famous with followings, they're living in their own TV show. And it was really cool how my TV show interacted with theirs, like the crossover episode that happened in the Orchestration of the Universe, where I was like an ancient forest druid king, tribal leader, indigenous shaman, golden eagle, lion, polar bear, dragon thing. And then they were like pretending. Their whole thing was pretend. But I was like, I can't, my thing is I can't escape it. They will force it onto me. Like no matter what I do, I can't escape it. And theirs is like they're trying so hard to maintain their fake persona. And I'm like, I just want to sleep in the woods. I don't try to be anything, but I can't help this reoccurring, non-stop thing. Authentic versus fake. The real deal. In their hero's journey to become something, they meet the person the master, basically. So that was cool. Then I started performing, gotten more fights with homeless people, gotten more fights with pretentious rich kids, got inspired more community action workers and taught them confidence. and then I validated their spiritual beliefs, which made a couple of them cry in 2023, because they told me I'd never met anyone in my life that understands. So because of you, I know it's okay to think this way, is what they told me. In their own words. That was exact words of one of them, but another person said the same thing in a different way. And then we had the big coup de grace in the Lionsgate portal. I don't know what coup de grace actually means. I just mean the climax. Like the shining point where I performed at a party to hundreds of high schoolers that were all outside Burlington, like a huge get together, and I got on top of a car and they played my beat through the speaker and I rapped for everybody. And when I went, "There's nowhere to hide, I'm the king of the north," everybody went, "Oh my god," they went crazy. Girls were giggling and blushing and coming up to me for my Instagram. And then a schizophrenic man named Patrick said that a guy named Sean and a girl named Jessica, who were heroin addicts, had convinced him to let them stay in his car, and they were using him to drive to and from Home Depot to steal power tools, and then driving him to and from the nice, wealthy, suburban construction people that were buying them for really cheap. So, hello, crow. The crows are circling me, obviously, just hinder my growth as a god. And that's why this little bird is over here. So, yeah, I performed, and then I got that after I saved Patrick from Sean and Jessica. Then he said he wanted to live in the mosque, and it was my dad's birthday, August 10th, coming up. It was August 9th that August 8th, I met Patrick and them, and I performed on the Lionsgate portal. August 9th, I saved Patrick from Jessica and Tim, or not Jessica and Sean. Jessica and Tim were the other drug addicts that were bothering me over here at the end of the car's journey. So at the start of the car's journey, we had Jessica and Sean. Then I got the car, went to see my dad. He tried to kill me. He pushed me into a wall. I punched him in the eye. I tried to leave. He ran outside the door after I left, grabbed me by the hair, threw himself on the ground, and struggled to choke me out while I'm going, "Stop it. I love you, you idiot. Stop. Stop. Or I'm going to pull your finger back and I'm going to put my thumbs into your eyes, and I'm not going to stop pushing until you let go." And he didn't. He was like, "How do you like it?" I was like, "Shut the fuck up." And I pulled his finger back, and then he ran away crying. To my mom, who loves to lie to the police, it's her favorite thing to do in life, is ruin mine. So the first chance she got to spread a false narrative about me to try to traumatize me horrifically so that she can hold power over me. And she doesn't think she's going to hell. You know, like she thinks God is happy with her. He's not. Every day they show me more and more how my mom is failing every test, and she's going to suffer, and she might die, is what they're saying. And they told me John Michael was going to die a month before he died. I had a dream where John Michael came to me, and the universe showed me John Michael had become a crack addict that was ripping and tearing at me, trying to judge me, trying to tear me down and steal it all for himself. He'd gone full Viking his whole hair had turned red. If you look at pictures, he went from blonde to red, and then one side of his fucking facial hair was all white and dead. And they were like, "What would you do?" And I killed him in the dream, and then he died a month later. It is what it is, man. I miss him every day. But the same thing is happening with my mom every day. They're saying we're trying to give her another chance, and I'm like, please, I don't care what you do, just separate us. Destroy this connection with my mother. Completely. If you kill her, cool. Make her suffer. Make her feel make her run into herself and suffer what she put me through before she dies, is all I say. I don't care if she dies. I just want her to understand completely what she did before she goes. I don't want her to die still thinking these delusional things about herself, like she's a suffering victim and that it's my fault. So that's been happening. And then I took my car and I drove around. The first thing I did was climb Mount Mansfield, and then I went to Stowe. And then I went to Morrisville, where Sergeant Audette and Officer Lamb were playing chicken with me. I would sit in the food bank lot on my phone, getting Wi-Fi from the gym and eating my McDonald's. And then they would tear in going 50 or 60, and they would get as close to my car as possible, and then they would veer off at the last second. They would spit out the window at me, and they would stare me down like this. And I'm like, that's a sergeant of a police station doing that. Then a year later, they did all that to me, and we found out that he rapes homeless women. And then I posted that on my YouTube, and then someone shot at me within 24 hours. I think. It might have been, like, either that day or the day after I posted it. Like, it might have been the night after, but somebody showed up and said, "Fuck you, bitch," to his girlfriend or some girl, and then shot at me. And I know drug addicts. I know it was a nice car. It was a SUV. It might have been a police car. I'm not sure. And I don't know who the girl was. I don't know. But I didn't want to make it seem like I was still alive. Like, I wanted to just be as silent as possible, but I peered out through the crack. So I could tell the voice. It was an older man, but he had a higher pitched voice, not like Pee Wee Herman squeaking, but like I'm talking now. Like, it wasn't like a deep cowboy. It was like a up here, a little bit. Until he probably smokes, because that's why my voice goes up, and the crows. So I think I only have enough. Like, I only have a couple dollars, so I have this deal on a McChicken I can cash in. So I think tonight I'll have 2 McChickens. And I'll sit and watch some movies again. Last night I watched Babylon, which was really good. I watched Bullet Train, which was really good. This month I saw Killers of the Flower Moon, and that was really good. I've been watching a lot of movies. I really like movies. What else? Stowe. It was pretty much just going back and forth, driving around Vermont until the winter. And then in the winter, I drove around to different fish and wildlife boat launches. And I would stay there overnight. And people would bother me all the time. Country folk deep in the woods would show up and find me at their boat launch while they're going ice fishing. And I'd need help, but I didn't know how to ask. Like, occasionally, if I was door dashing and I ran out of money, and I needed money to get to my order so that I could cash out and get gas, because that's all it was. It was like, I'd make $5 door dashing. I'd buy a Black & Mild, and I'd fill up $3 on my gas, and then I'd have enough to idle for like 15 minutes. And if I didn't get another order, I had to shut the car down until noon the next day. And then once lunch rolled around, I'd have to get a jump start sometimes, start my car back up, and then go do the next order. And then I would get $5 or $6, and then I'd put that into the gas, and then I could ride that. And some nights, that cycle at the end of it, saving like $2 or $3 per order and door dashing for 12 hours. I would make sometimes like $30, $40. And then I would take that and immediately go to a different town. Because I know that $30, when you have 30 miles per gallon on that Avalon, and you're not in traffic idling like that, constantly accelerating and decelerating, you could get a distance. So I would drive close to like 40 or 50 miles trying to like go to the next towns looking for a better place to park my car. Like a safer place where the police won't bother me and I don't have to worry about. I never really had to worry about criminals. All I ever really had to worry about was in Burlington, it was the liberals. In Burlington, I hated them because they were really sensitive, high-pitched, whiny brats screaming at me about how I'm the problem and that I'm ruining the environment with my trash. And the trash isn't mine. I would just park in the dirtiest spot because I felt like I wouldn't disturb anybody there. Like, they would see me and be like, yeah, he's where he belongs. Because if I tried to park with the wealthier people, they would call the police and they'd lock their car doors and they would huff and puff. That was living in the richest part of Vermont. And then I moved to the poorest part of Vermont out here, and you have rednecks that try to kill me pretty much every day. They're trying to accidentally hit me with their car and be like, well, I mean, he walked into me. And it's like every time I walk down this road, there's somebody in a truck or a shitty SUV is trying to run me off the road and hit me. Somebody did shoot at me for real, and then someone at a gas station, I won't say, said that the state police went in and were talking to another state police and they were getting their drinks and said that, yeah, they were just bragging flat out that they fired a shot off at me. Because they said that he said that they made it seem like they thought that I was running a drug operation and that every time I leave that cabin to catch the bus, I'm going into town to sell a bunch of drugs that I'm picking up at the park and ride. And it's just not true. I schizo rant on the internet till a nice person sends me enough money, I would say, to get my needs met. I was spending a shit ton of money on cigarettes. I thought that it was helping me. It was, for a lot, it was helping me. I needed to learn how to ground myself. And last year, smoking cigarettes and sitting out in the woods really helped. Then it got too much, and now I don't think cigarettes are good. I just have the loon to stop the cravings. And then slowly I'm weaning off the loon. Like, I only take, if I talk like this, I take a lot, but when it's just me by myself, it's just at night, sometimes I'll have a panic attack and I'll start. Because I do have panic attacks every day. And the loons do help. But it's much better than it was. Like, now, instead of spending $15 a week on cigarettes, I spend, and I don't have the money, so it's fine, but it took like $20 for the loon. It gave me like 3 weeks. So it is what it is, man. But most of the money went to like stuff I needed. Phone service, food, tools, gas for rides for people to bring things up here for me. Big bird right to left. Not a crow. I'm just thinking about the pull-up and dip bar I bought. I got a chair, a tripod, clothes. Like socks are a big one at Walmart. That hoodie. A lot of it went to phone chargers and these portable batteries, which have now, pretty much all of them have died. Like, I used them all up. What else? That's pretty much all it went to this year. But yeah, let's see. After I got done with Morrill, yeah, I ran around Burlington. there was a lot of people at gas stations that I would speak to. So I would try to DoorDash for a little bit, and then there was some really nice people that were, I don't know what agape is, but they kept telling me the way I should learn is agape love, and they would pray over me. And it was this lesbian couple from the South, and she had a Southern accent, and I was helping her. She wanted to start making candles and selling them on Etsy. So I was just kind of talking to her about what it would be like, setting it, kind of like running her through how a TikTok video works, where you have a camera going with a time lapse on the camera for the candle making process, and you could add clips of her praying over it and adding things relative to church that would make it feel better, and actual spiritual stuff that she could incorporate into that, which would either give it the placebo or actually enhance the experience for people, and turning that into a video that would go viral on TikTok, plus setting up the affiliate code and stuff like this for other companies. And I just talked to her about that because it made me, that's what I like to do. I like to travel around in my car thinking about music and philosophy and the universe, and seeing how I can literally make the whole universe change with my thoughts. And then I just go into people's lives and I make it better, more efficient. Which is why I really like that I broke down and had to start over on the ground, because it really grew me up differently than I was. Like, now I can look back and recognize things about myself that I couldn't realize before this journey. But I helped them through the winter. There would be the universe breaking instances where the demonic dark people and the light angelic people, and then the regular normies would come in. Somebody said demonic dark people. Somebody's here. Yeah. No, the people here, I talk to them, and they don't have a problem with me being here. It's the people that come up from the park and ride. They know I'm just charging my phone, and I play guitar, and I clean up if there's a mess here. The birds like me here. If you notice, the crows are all gone, and the little birds are still here working overtime to keep the energy going. Or take it, I don't know. But yeah, there was a guy that showed up in a van, and he was living in it, and he was freezing, and I showed him how I built my nest in the back to survive the winter in the car, and I gave him contacts for people that would give him free emergency blankets, and I showed him how I stuffed those emergency blankets into a comforter, and I pull it over myself and I suffocate at night. And I gave him mine because I was like, I knew that I would survive, but he was freaking out about being there cold like that. But then he started talking shit about how he has a guitar and I don't in his car. And now I have a guitar, which is cool. And he left. I never saw him again. It was a lot of cops pulling me over and screaming at me, like getting extremely aggressive, slamming on my window, hitting my car, kicking my tires, and really trying to dominate me as I'm trying to make my songs. So I would get to a point where I was making the best songs, like the highest level of my artistry. I was making things that every time I played it in my mind, like I would play the song in my head, and every time it would heal me. And it was amazing, and it's nothing I'd ever heard before from other people. It was like perfection. And then every time I got back, it would take me like a week and a half of just driving 12 hours a day with energy drinks and Black and Milds and just playing my songs over and over again, trying to get back to that frequency. And then I'd get there, and then the cops would show up and they'd slam on my car. They'd scream at me. They'd try to tow it. They'd like spit at me, do everything they can to scare me and take it. Like if I did give them my license, they would hold it for 45 minutes. And they'd make me sit there, and he was just trying to drain it all for himself and take my power, and then they'd show up happy and smiling.
And then they would follow, when I'd leave and go to the gas station, they'd follow me into the gas station, and they'd follow me through the gas station, and they'd stand by the register with me. And I'm like, I'm sure they think that they're attacking a junkie, but what they're really doing is torturing a child. And I just don't, I hope they get punished. I hope that there's karma. But I don't know. I don't see it I see it happening to me. I don't see it happening to others, except for the one guy that kept, for years he would come at me online and tell me to kill myself, you fucking schizo faggot. And then he got hit by a car, and he got wedged between two cars, punctured both of his lungs, brain injury, broken shit, and then he had to be airlifted by a helicopter. And then he kept coming at me after he got a brain injury there, he kept coming at me for years, over and over, every 6 months, telling me to kill myself, and he's going to kill me, and calling me a retarded schizo faggot, that his parents won't be proud of him, and he can't wait to see me die alone. And then he held his pregnant wife at gunpoint in a standoff with the police because he was hallucinating that the guy that ran him over was in his house. But unfortunately, his mother played the role of the victim so well that Rowan was just like a sad guy that didn't deserve what happened to him. He didn't get run over because he was waving an unregistered firearm around. He got ran over because someone evil hurt him. So she made $20,000 on a GoFundMe. They put that into cryptocurrency, and he made $300K. So he has a nice house, his dream car, and he's married with a kid, even though his wife is ugly and a stupid, retarded bitch. They do work full-time, but he did hold her in a standoff with the police because he was hallucinating. So now he was trying to destroy my character publicly so many times and force me to be the schizo retard that his mugshot for him having a schizophrenic break is all over Maine. Something else. I've been talking about how Owen has been coming back into my life again. The name's Owen has been coming back a lot as an enemy, but then recently as someone rectifying the pain that the other Owens have caused me. If you look at Beau is Afraid, on the wall, in the scene where one of the most important scenes of Owen's, or not, of Beau's journey, where he finally gets radicalized and frees himself, was because a really traumatic thing happened to him in a room where all the paintings and all the pictures on the wall said the name Owen. And I was talking about how Owen has the Viking symbolism around it in my life a lot, heavily. And Beau was in the house with the family. And then in my life, the family that took me and that had the same names were proud Vikings. What the hell was that? Something jumped off a branch. Actually, it's pretty heavy. Something big is walking through the thickets. Sounded deer-sized. There's no deer out here. It's too close to the road and there's not enough wood space. The deer don't come this way. They go around the back. What's my charge at? 32. What's this at? Let's get this. I dropped my phone. Okay. Where's my headphones? Oh yeah.
look back at the I Remember Everything video to see how much I've done to my hair, man. Look, I can run my fingers through it. It clumps together again, but not as bad. And then it used to be this whole thing was matted in clumps, but I got rid of most of it, and it was so bad that even if I untangled it, I usually at the end of it ended up pulling out like a huge clump like this big. So it used to be like this huge thing covering my neck, and now it's just this one tail. Which took me a month. Every weekend for like 6 hours. Because a comb or a brush didn't work, so I had to use one finger to just peel a little bit off from the clump. So let's try to find my other charging block. Here it is. And we got this. So how it feels is that when I'm sitting alone in the woods, this huge energy comes over me, and it doesn't allow me to think. Like when I try to focus and like imagine things, it doesn't work at all. And then there occasionally things come in, and they're angry and negative. Or if I try to do like a meditation where I open my heart and I'm just like looking around in spirit, and I can feel this vivid weaving of energies, and I can see like tons of angry things, and they're always like digging at me trying to get in. And then when I push past it, or I can hold myself and I start to glow and the whole room starts to vibrate, that's when like reality breaking stuff happens. Like, I don't know, a glass bottle shattered while I was dreaming, and I was having a dream that was like I was sitting and speaking to an entity that was explaining something very high vibrational to me. Like the closest thing you'd get to like maybe the Galactic Federation, like a bureaucracy of higher intelligence beings, was explaining something to me and showing me something about reality and what's going to come in the future. And then something shattered, and then I heard footsteps, and the footsteps didn't sound like an animal was in the cabin, knocked something over, and then took off. It sounded like somebody walked up with like an airsoft pistol, fired in and broke the glass, and then took off running. It didn't sound like multiple people. I don't really know what it was, but I know that I woke up to a glass bottle completely shattering. And then last night something knocked Bucky off the wall. Last night I have a deer mount in my cabin, and it's on the wall next to this thing that says #1 draft pick, and something in the middle of the night knocked both of those things off. Am I muted? No, they just left. Okay. I think I'm going to stay up all night and all day tomorrow. So that I can reset my sleep schedule. want to go home, but I don't have one. Like I have nothing to go home to. I don't have family. I don't have any friends. So it's not like everybody wants to run me out of town and send me home. Like, where's your family? Why are you just here? I get a lot. And the answer is like, I don't. If I tucked tail and ran, there would be nowhere to run to. So I'm just here, trying to figure it out. Barely functioning. I am barely functioning. I sit in the tent and I watch content all day. I really wish I didn't. I think I should have. I've wasted my life. I'm not living up to my potential at all. I am addicted to my phone. I'm like a slave to my phone. Like the only time I don't feel like my phone is me, where I can feel like I'm back in myself, is when I don't have service or my phone is broken. Life is a lot better for me when my phone is disabled. And I need to put it down. But I get panic attacks. I freak out when my phone's off. And I naturally go crazy. Like the way that I want to live naturally is not, like, it's not good for being in society. It's really cool. And I think I could do great, like, legendary things, but when I'm like this and I look at how I act when I'm like that, I'm like, that guy's fucking crazy. Fuck these mosquitoes. But everybody's gone, so I'm gonna end the live. Goodbye.